Today class 12th, subject zoology, name of the chapter evolution and subtopic experimental approach of the life. So, in that first we are going to see the Urey-Miller's experiment. Urey-Miller experiment paved the way for understanding the synthesis of organic compounds. Synthesis of organic compounds. The organic compounds lead to the appearance of the living organisms. Organic compounds lead to the appearance of the living organisms. In their experiment, they took two chambers, one is small chamber, another one is large chambers. Chambers otherwise called flask. In that the two chambers were linked with the tubes. In large chamber, they allowed to enter the ammonia, nitrogen, hydrogen and water. Then they fixed the tungsten electrode. Then the small chamber contains boiled water. At the time of boiling the water, the streams comes out. The stream moved through the tube and poured into the large chamber, which already contains ammonia, methane, hydrogen and water. So, after entering the stream inside the large chamber, the tungsten electrode discharges the spark. When the spark is introduced inside the chamber, it circulates the stream, ammonia, methane, hydrogen and water. These all things are well mixed inside the large chamber. Then the stream is allowed to run down the tube where the condenser is fixed. This is the condenser. Where the condenser is fixed, when the stream is entering inside the condenser, they allowed the cold water to cool the stream. The cold water enters inside the condenser and goes outside the condenser. That is inlet, this is outlet. So, when the cold water entering inside the condenser, the stream cooled. Then the stream becomes water and run down the tube, U-shaped tube. This experiment was conducted for a week. Then they collected the sample and analysis. At the time of analyzing, they found the sample contains, this is what the sample are collected in the conical flask. After collecting in the conical flask, the water is analyzed. Water is analyzed and they found glycine, alanine, and beta alanine and aspartic acid. So, these things were found in the sample, So, these are amino acids. Then few amino acids were found inside that sample. Then further experiment were conducted by them. Then they found out 20 different types of amino acids were found. The another experiment also conducted. In that experiment, they found 20 different types of amino acids plus nitrogenous bases. You know that 20 different type of amino acids: alanine, serine, leucine, isoleucine, etc. Then nitrogenous bases. You know that nitrogenous bases, one is adenine. Adenine, one nitrogenous bases. Cytosine, one adenosine nitrogen bases, cytosine. Next guanine, one nitrogenous base, then uracil, one nitrogenous base, and thymine. These are all nitrogenous bases. The further experiments were conducted by them. They found the 20 different types of nitrogenous bases, 20 different types of amino acids plus nitrogenous bases. The nitrogenous bases are adenine, cytosine, guanine, uracil, thymine. So, they came to the conclusion the living organisms are formed from the non-living substances, that is called organic compounds. This is called biogenetic synthesis. Biogenetic synthesis. What is meant by biogenetic synthesis? Biogenetic synthesis means the living organisms formed from the non-living substances, that is organic compounds. Paleontological evidence. Paleontological evidence is the study of prehistoric life of animals. Prehistoric life. Prehistoric life of animals. Prehistoric means you know that primitive animals. We have to study about the primitive life of animals through fossils. Through fossils. So, paleontological evidences is the study of prehistoric life of animals through fossils. What is meant by fossils? The actual true evidence of the fossils are the true evidence of evolution. So, what is meant by true evidence? Suppose if you want to know about the primitive organisms, with the help of the fossils only we can find out. That is said to be the fossils. Next, fossilization. What is meant by fossilization? Fossilization is the process by which plants, animals, remains are preserved in the sedimentary rocks. Is called fossilization. So, the fossilization is the process by which plants, animals remains are preserved in the sedimentary rock is called fossilization. What is meant by sedimentary rock? Where the remains are stored, that is said to be sedimentary rock. This has three categories. What are they? Actual remains. First one, actual remains. Second one is petrological evidence. Third one is natural molds and casts. These are the three categories. What are the three categories of remains now? One is actual remains, second one is petrological evidence, third one is natural molds and cast. We will see one by one. First, actual remains. So, the hard parts of the animals, such as bones, teeth, skull, these are buried as such in the environment. This type of process is called actual remains. Once again, the hard part of the animals such as bones, teeth, skull, they are preserved as such in the atmosphere is called actual remains. Know that bones, hard part, teeth, hard part, then skull, then shells. These are the hard parts. The hard parts as such buried under the earth. That process is called actual remains. Then another one, examples. When marine animals die, their hard part, you know that bone, then shells are preserved by the minerals or sediments. That sediments becomes hardened and preserved under the ocean. The salinity of the ocean prevents the decay of the sediments. That is one example. Marine animal dies, their hard parts, that is bone and shells. You know what is meant by shell? The delicate organisms body is covered by a strong plate is called shell. Those are strong part. Those strong part are preserved as such under the sea. That is said to be the another one actual remains. Actual remains means without changing any part or body of the organisms. As it is buried under the earth is called actual remains. Next, examples of actual remains. The first example is woolly mammoth. The woolly mammoth means hairy elephants. Hairy elephants. The hairy elephants or woolly mammoth lived 22,000 years ago. After died, these elephants entire body is buried under the coast of the Siberia. So that mammoth body, entire body can be buried under the coast of the Siberia. This is one examples of the actual remains. Already I told you actual remains means as it is, the entire organism or entire part of the organisms can be buried under the earth. Next, second example is, you know, Pompeii, Mount Vesuvius. Pompeii is the ancient city, Roman city. Pompeii is the ancient Roman city. Near that Mount Vesuvius, these volcanic eruptions. Volcanic eruption occurs. That volcanic eruption washed away the Pompeii city, ancient city. The ancient city contains large number of animals and human beings. Those large number of animals and human beings were preserved volcanic ash. The entire animal, the entire human being as such preserved in the volcanic ash. This is one example of actual remains. Actual remains means the animal's body parts or entire animal as such preserved under the earth is called actual remains. Second is petrifaction. Petrifaction, when the animals die, the instead of original part of the body of the animal is replaced by minerals. The previous one I told you the entire animal or body parts as such buried under the earth, but here the original, instead of original part of the body parts of the animal is replaced by the minerals, where the animal's part or animal, instead of that minerals occupied, that is said to be petrifaction. This type of fossilization is called petrifaction. So, once again I repeat this, original part of the animal is replaced by the minerals. This type of fossilization is called petrifaction. For the minerals which are involving in the petrifaction are iron, pyrites, silica, calcium carbonate, bicarbonate and magnesium. Minerals which are involving in this fossilization is one is iron, second one is pyrites, third one is silica, fourth one is calcium carbonate, fifth one is magnesium, then bicarbonate. So, these are the minerals which is occupied in the original part of the organism or the animal. Natural molds and casts. Even after disintegration of the animals might leave the impressions on the soft mud. This type of fossilization is called molds. What is meant by disintegration? When the animal dies, their body entirely disposed or disintegrated. When the animal fall on the soft mud, that impression made in the soft mud, so that impression is called molds. The impression is called molds. So, later the molds are filled with hard minerals, that is called casts. The minerals filled inside the molds, that is called cast. Once again, what is mean by molds? Molds is nothing but after disintegration of the animals might leave the impressions on the soft mud. The soft mud later becomes hardened and becomes stones, that is called molds. Later these impressions are filled by the hard minerals, that is called cast. What is mean by coprolites? The hardened fecal matter of the animals are called coprolites. What is mean by fecal matter? You know that. Night soil or defecation. That night soil or defecation is formed stone like, it is formed by the stone like structures, that is said to be coprolites. Coprolites means the hardened fecal matter. The hardened fecal matter is called coprolite. So, it is occurs in the tiny pellet. Tiny pellet means small pellet like this. It occurs in the nature like the tiny pellet. If you analyze this pellet, we can find out the diet of the prehistoric organisms. What is meant by prehistoric? Already told you, prehistoric animals, that means ancient animals. If you want to find out the ancient animals, whether it is carnivorous or herbivores, suppose if you analyze this fecal matter, we can find out whether the animals are carnivorous or herbivorous. What is meant by carnivorous? Flesh eating animals are called carnivorous. What is meant by herbivorous? Plant eating animals called herbivorous. So, after analyzing this fecal matter, we can find out the animals whether they are carnivorous or herbivorous. Next, evidences from comparative anatomy. The similarities between the group of organisms are the indicators of the relationship. So, what is meant by similarities? Similarities is nothing but seems to be the same. Suppose the each and every group has its own similarity, but some similarities are present on both groups. That is said to be similarities are found in the different groups of the organisms or indicators of the relationship. If the any characters are present both group of the organisms, that indicates they have some relationship. They can be studied under two headings. One is homologous structure. First one is homologous structure. What is mean by homologous structure? The structures are seems to be same, but they perform different functions. Similarity in the structure, but performing function is different. So, similarities in the structure, but perform different functions. For example, we can say bougainvillea plant, that is the dry area plant, dry land plant. Bougainvillea is a dry land plant that contains thorns, and also another one plant is cucurbita, that is contains tendrils. So, those two organs are seems to be same, the structure is same. One I said to, first one is I said bougainvillea, it is a dry land plant. Dry land plant that contains thorns. Second one I told you cucurbita. This is one plant, so it contains tendrils. The two structures are seems to be same. Thorns, you know that. The dry land plant bougainvillea contains thorns. Then the cucurbita is a plant which has tendrils. This is said to be tendrils. This is thorn. The both tendrils and thorn are same structure, but they do the different functions. The structure is the same, but performing the function is different. What function it does? You know that thorn is the defense mechanism. Thorn act as a defense mechanism from the grazing animals, so that the plant can be live continuously in the dry land. So, what is the function of tendrils? Tendrils gives support to the plant. So, if there is no tendrils, the plant cannot live, that means it cannot stand. So, the tendrils give the support to the cucurbita plant, then thorn gives protection to the bougainvillea plant. So, the structure is same, but function is different, that is said to be homologous. Next, analogous. Homologous, I told you, structures are similar, but performing different function. Here structure is same, structure is different in structure. Different in structure, but performing same function. Structure different, but function similar, that is called analogous structure. Example, we can say wings of insects, and wings of birds. The wings of insect and the wings of birds are, the structures are entirely different, but performing the same function, that is flight. The structures are different, you know that insect wings. This is wings of insect. This is membranous. Then bird's wings contains radius ulna bones. So, we can say the bird's wings contains bones like radius and ulna. In case of insect wings, this is a membrane, there is no bone, but the structure is entirely different, but function is the same. So, that is called a analogous structure. Next, vestigial organ. What is mean by vestigial organ? No use to the possessor and are not necessary for their existence are called a vestigial organ. Without this organ, the organisms can exist or can live, that is said to be vestigial organ. The vestigial organ is well developed in the ancient or prehistoric organisms, but during the evolution, course of evolution, those organs are non-functional, so that it will be reduced in size and functionless. Then well function in the ancestors. I already told you ancestor means the organism which were lived previously, those organisms are called ancestors, but disappears in course of evolution due to their non-utilization. If any organ cannot be used continuously, that organ size will be reduced and finally there is no functions. If the organ size is reduced, automatically there is no functions. So, the organ in the ancestors are well developed and they are function. During the evolution, those organs there is no function, continuously there is no function, so that size will be reduced. So, those type of organs are called vestigial organ. Examples we can say cecum. Human being, the cecums are there, where the small intestine end and the large intestines are begins, in that a blind like sac is called cecum. This is functionless. In previous ancestors, the cecums are functioned, but in nowadays the cecums are not functioned, so that its size will be reduced. it is said to be a vestigial organ. Like that coccyx. Coccyx is said to be tail bones. The previous that human being came from the monkey. So, the monkey that monkeys have tails, the tailbone is present, that is coccyx. But due course of the evolution, the human being is tailbone is absent. So, another one example is coccyx. Next, wisdom teeth. The human being has wisdom teeth in the upper jaw, the last teeth, that is said to be next to the molar. Next to the molar teeth, wisdom teeth is present. It is non-functional. Because of presence of this teeth, there is no function. It is not helping for grinding or any other purpose. So, that is one vestigial organ. Next, ear muscles. The ear that made up of cardiac muscle, but in the ancestors had the muscles on the ears, but nowadays the muscles are absent. Why? Because the muscles are not necessary now. So, that is said to be another one example of vestigial organ. Next, body hair. The primitive human being, the body is entirely covered by the hair, but nowadays the body is not entirely covered by hair. So, the body hair also one vestigial organ. Next, mammary gland in male. That mammary gland or mammary gland. So, it is well developed in the female. Why? Because they feed their young ones. Here in male it is non-functional. There is no function, there is no use. So, that it is non-functional. So, mammary gland in male is said to be a vestigial organ. Next, nictitating membrane of the eye. That nictitating membrane covers the eyes of the water animals. Water animals, there is necessary for nictitating membrane. What is the function of nictitating membrane? Nictitating membrane prevent the entry of water inside the eye. That is said to be a nictitating membrane. But human being is not living under the water, so that the nictitating membrane is not well developed. So, that is called a vestigial organ. Next, last heading is connecting link. The organism which possess characters of two different groups are called connecting link. A particular organism has two groups functions. They have two groups functions. For example, peripatus. Peripatus is the connecting link between Annelida and Arthropoda. So, this peripatus has Annelida character and also Arthropoda character. The two characters are present in the peripatus. So, it is called a connecting link between Annelida and Arthropoda. Once again, I am repeating this. The peripatus has Annelidan character and also Arthropod character. So, that peripatus is said to be connecting link between Annelida and Arthropoda. Next, another one example is Archaeopteryx. It is a flightless bird, Archaeopteryx. It is a connecting link between reptiles and birds. Like that, Archaeopteryx has the characters of reptiles and also the characters of birds. The two groups of characters are present in the Archaeopteryx, so that it is said to be the connecting link between the reptiles and birds. Dear children, you go through this video and you observe this all teachings. If you have any doubt regarding this, you may contact me over phones or WhatsApp. What we already see, Urey-Miller's experiment. I explained Urey-Miller's experiment, then biological evidence of evolution. In that I told paleontological evidence, fossils, next fossilization. In that there are three categories. One is actual remains, second one is petrifaction, third one is natural molds and casts. Then I thought the structure, that is analogous structure, homologous structure, vestigial organ and connecting link. You go through these headings, through video. If you have any doubt, please contact me, I will clear your doubts. Thank you children.